All right, I want to make a video talking about Kenny Pickett's advanced statistics because I think they're actually pretty fascinating. And he's one of the few players that I think is a lot better than the advanced stats say. I feel like generally when you talk about a player's advanced stats, they usually say, oh, wow, that's great, when it's a positive about your favorite team's star quarterback. Whereas if it's the other way around, then you say, advanced stats can't tell you anything. Got to watch tape, right? But I do think that advanced stats tell you something, whether it's something you want to hear or not. They always can tell you something interesting. And in this scenario, it's probably something Steelers fans want to hear. So let's get into some of his advanced stats and why I'm maybe a little bit higher on him than maybe some other people are. So first things first, what you see right here is going to be his, specific categories, and I'm going to explain each one as we go. So first, PFF grade needs no explanation. 18th best. This is at about 40 eligible players for each of these categories. So 18th best Pro Football Focus grade. That's pretty good. I mean, again, always worth mentioning, for young quarterbacks, it takes time to get better in the NFL. We've seen, we saw how Trevor Lawrence looked his rookie year, right? We've seen this happen where it takes time to develop. So the fact that he had 18th best, if that's how you believe he played, you feel pretty good right away. Big time throw percentage, 16th best. So definitely did a good job at, or at least an above average job at getting to splash plays. I think splash plays were a part of his game last year. And the average depth of target, so how far down the field do you throw the football, was just 23rd best. So he definitely was able to still get some big time throws, despite the fact that he wasn't quite throwing the ball down the field as much. Again, a difference of 7 spots isn't otherworldly, but still, you always like to have a better big-time throw percentage than average depth of target. It's not to say that you can't have big-time throws that aren't that far down the field, but they're a lot more common when you throw further down the field. So if you can, have better big-time throw percentage than ADOT, you're going to be pretty good. Turnover-worthy play percentage. So keep in mind, this is 33rd, as in the 33rd highest. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it. This is a good number, is what I'm trying to say, basically. So, first would be if you have the highest turnover-worthy play percentage. So he had, 33rd lowest, 33rd highest, which is good. So, another way you could talk about this is he's basically top 10 in turnover-worthy play percentage last year, is kind of the way to look at it. It's always, I never know which side to put that on. I guess I should probably put first being best, but I never know because it's like, it's kind of, I feel like typically the highest is what you would consider to be first. But anyway, yeah, Kenny Pickett, it became a meme about he puts the pick in Pickett, right? Which is mostly just because it's a funny thing to say with his name, which I do understand. I get it. You got to find funny things to put on Twitter. But I do think that he actually got very unlucky his first season in the NFL. And I do think that we will see, typically turnover-worthy play percentage tends to be a lot more consistent year in and year out than interceptions or just turnovers in general. So this is the stat I much more prefer to look at. And I would actually say he did a good job of protecting the football from both what I watched on film, which if you just watched his tape, you could see that a lot of the turnover luck was fluky. But if you watch, if you look at the stats, it can help confirm that, make sure it's not your bias coming into effect. But no, it actually was the case. Passer rating. So this is the one that, PR, that's passer rating. This is definitely the one that you're going to look at and say, well, that's not good. And this is what kind of gets held against him was he didn't have a great passer rating last year, which is probably the best of the box score stats. It's at least the one I use the most. Box score stats, personally, I think it's a fine stat to use. But of course, it's very team dependent and very luck dependent. And if you have bad turnover luck, like Kenny Pickett did, it's going to massively hurt your passer rating. So while it's not a great stat, I wouldn't be overly discouraged from it. Not turnover-worthy plays. Time to throw, that's what TTT is. 33rd in the NFL. And this is, again, I did this weird, where it's 33rd quickest. So first would be if you get rid of the ball as fast as possible. I should have flipped one of turnover-worthy plays and time to throw around. Apologies, but you get the idea. So it takes a little bit longer to throw the football than some other guys do. In fact, he's bottom 10 in terms of how long it takes. And this was something he did at college as well. I believe he actually led college football his last season in time to throw. But again, something that comes with age. The longer you play in the NFL, typically that number goes down pretty consistently. I expect it to go down, but just something worth noting. But going with that, this is a very fascinating chart to me. So when he gets rid of the football, this is, how he performs in a couple of stats when he gets rid of the football in less than 2.5 seconds or when it takes him more than 2.5 seconds. So he holds onto the ball for a while, but he actually, depending on what stat you like to use, you could argue does better in that situation. So his PFF grade when he gets rid of the ball in less than 2.5 seconds was 22nd in the NFL, which again, for a rookie, you'll take that. That's not bad at all. 26th passer rating. When he takes a while to throw the football, PFF was actually more impressed with him. They felt he made the right decision more frequently, but the results said otherwise, as he had the 36th rated, highest rated passer rating in the league that year. So when he holds on to the ball for a while. So he performs better, but the team did not. And to me, typically, I would kind of side with PFF here. I think that he did a good job when he held on to the ball for more than 2.5 seconds. Just the results weren't there. And maybe if we can get guys who can help take advantage of some of those scramble drill type plays, perhaps he could, be closer to the 10th best quarterback in terms of passer rating next year, or at least in future years. Also, this stat I found very interesting. So this is how well he performed throwing the football at various depths down the field. I usually just don't even bother with behind the line of scrimmage stuff because that's mostly just luck from what I've seen. So, but the other three things, 20 plus yards down the field, 10 to 19, and 0 to 9. The passer rating, I don't know how much you want to look at that. It was pretty much a disaster across the board either way, which again, it was just kind of, he didn't have great passer rating last year. It is what it is. But the PFF grades had a huge jump. I mean, easily the worst stat that he is a part of is that 10 to 19 range, the PFF grade, 27th in the NFL, which again, for a rookie, okay, it's not what you want, but you can deal with it. He really did a good job when he was pushing the ball down the field, and then did a fine job in the 0 to 9 range. So it felt like scramble drill stuff, pushing the ball down the field stuff, that's really where he thrived as a rookie. Maybe the on-script stuff, not quite as much, which again, is kind of to be expected from a young player. This other stat is, again, equally interesting to me, the pressure versus kept clean stuff. So when he was under pressure, he was the 4th best quarterback according to Pro Football Focus. When he was under pressure, did a very good job. And the passer rating still wasn't great, but it was better than some of these other categories at 25th best. We're getting close to mediocre there, but kept clean. He wasn't great at the 28th best player, and passer rating 39th in the league. Here's the good news. The good news is for young players, typically the way it works is that how you perform under pressure has a bit of variance to it, whereas how you play kept clean doesn't have quite the variance to it. So looking at kept clean numbers can often be a better way to indicate future success. But that's different with young quarterbacks. Young quarterbacks do tend to get better when they're kept clean. And so the hope is that he can still be this really good playmaker type quarterback, and you can kind of have him be more of a game manager, which I actually didn't hate his game manager stuff as a rookie, but definitely kind of off script statistically was better. And the hope is that he has the off script stuff down. Now let's just get him the game manager stuff, and that's how he can be this complete quarterback. Very interesting to look at. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.